appears that we're there.
Online.
Yeah, I think we're in business. In the business of what I don't know, but we're in the business of something or other.
Yeah, exactly. We're going.
And business is booming for someone.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's been a wild couple of weeks, huh?
it has been a wild couple weeks. It's been crazy, and it's just been hard to get a hold of. And like the next couple weeks seemed it might stay kind of a little crazy. We're gonna get a little cool down, which will be nice.
Yeah, it's still been getting up in like
Oh,
75 to low 80s, but shit, we've been like right as the sun's coming up, it's down to 31, 32 degrees. So pretty good temperature swings right now. It's cooling off at night.
yeah, and I mean that's kind of like it was hot, but it's kind of the cool down might help us too. I don't know. Like a lot of like getting a little cold weather on those calves helps them, or it helps
Oh yeah.
buyers want them anyways.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we got a few people listening now, but you had a big sale yesterday, huh?
Yeah, man, 1,937 head, and
Shit, yeah.
it was cool. It was a big one for me. I know these a lot of these sale barns right now are probably the bigger ones they're having 3-4 thousand. They have some of that, but I mean there's big runs, but it's big. That was a good one for us and
Yeah.
first big one of the year, kind of getting stuff lined out and rolling again. I mean, it happened on a really hard down day. It was a like cut your teeth Monday in the business. It was a tough day. Tough day.
Man, I that was the first time I've been able to to watch the sale. And yeah, you'd man, it was just guys getting hammered on some of those bigger steers, just getting hammered. And then
Oh,
you'd see a set of heifers come across, or like a fancier set of steers, and they'd really do well. And then
yep.
and they just next set would just get hammered again. I was like, man, like there's it was rough.
It was rough the whole day. And it was just like 2 rounds of shots and fresh weaned, sold good. One
Mm,
round of shots, not very good. No shots,
yeah,
fresh weaned, okay. 2 weeks weaned, couldn't, I mean, 2 weeks weaned is the hardest thing to sell. And I mean, I know John Campbell on the Winter Livestock Guy, he said a lot of things about this on his Facebook deal that he does. He's pretty, I
yeah,
mean, it was pretty good too. But a 2 week
it-
weaned calf is hard.
yeah, yeah. It is, but that's what forever. That's what people said they wanted, and now you can't get rid of them.
No, it's true. I mean, now it's like, I mean, the most consistent thing I've seen is 2 shots. You know what I mean? Give
Mm,
them that pre weaning shot. It's worth the money. If you're going to sell them October 19th till, let's say, after Thanksgiving. I mean, I realize that sometimes it might not make as much of a difference when we're deeper into January because we have a lot of cold weather. I mean, they've been exposed, at that
yeah,
point to a lot more stuff. But this really, these few weeks in here, kind of those vaccine protocols kind of matter. I think you see that big time here.
yeah, yeah. It was. I didn't get to watch the whole sale, but man, it was cool to see the volume. Man, it was pulling teeth to get any bids though.
Oh
Man, it
God,
was.
towards the end it was hard. Like those
I
big groups
bet.
would bring it, and then it's just sometimes it's just hard. You just gotta hold it to
Yeah,
wherever you can at those other ones, and then just move on because you're calling around and there's just not that much better options at that day.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Trying to find a better market, but it's a little tough at those times. And I mean, that's what it is. That is what it is sometimes
Yeah.
on it. But that's what makes it tough when everybody's like, there's just not a lot of people ready for ballers right now. I mean, I think people are getting ready, you know.
Yeah.
Next week could be a whole new world. That's just how it is. I'm not saying maybe it'd be way higher, but I mean, this was a pretty big dagger.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little rough. So what's like what's the futures market doing?
Well, that's a direct correlation of why it was pretty rough. And I mean, the futures market's been what we call straight lower for
Mm.
since September 15th, for example, November feeder, September 28th, we're at 145, and they today they touched 127.90. So in less than a month, they've lost $17 a hundredweight.
Oof.
I mean, you know what I mean? And the last dagger was that Monday, $5 down. I mean, we got the June live cattle was at 103 as of Monday. We finished some of that at 105. But I mean, you're having to mark break evens around that 103 area for next summer. And that's what was hurting those big cattle bad, you know, because 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we could have marked a 109 for a long time. So if you can sell a 109 fat, your feeder price is going to be better. If you're looking staring down the barrel at a 103 fat next summer, I mean, that's a totally different price range.
Yeah.
And it can move fast like that. I mean, when shit's adjusting and now they've moved these limits, so it has the capability to move pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, that's why I still go back to promoting a hedging strategy because of this. Because if going into this, they hedged even to the barn would have yielded great returns because the
Mm.
cash dropped, but not as much as the futures. I mean, we were down. Don't get me wrong. I think they were down. I think Oak City was called 10 to 12 lower, and it just started and away we go like that. But the futures actually hammered it harder. And I know it's kind of a little bit confusing to wrap a guy's head around, you know. I mean, because from September 20th, 28th till now, look at how much that futures position would have made, you know.
Yeah.
And this year's a little different, I know, because the volatility is just a little bit more for reasons. Whew, long list of them. So,
Yeah. There's a laundry list.
the thing you can only do on those kind of days is have good customer service and take care of the cattle. Make sure the cattle are filled, make sure they're presented right as much as you can.
Yep.
I mean, because a bad market in your Gant uh hurts more. At least if you I mean,
Mm-hmm.
try not to fill them up too much, but at least care, make sure they got their everything presented as well as you can for the customer.
Yeah.
And we make mistakes doing that too, as much but as little as we can, because I mean,
Mm.
it just goes back to show you can't control the market. I mean, you're not going to control Pelosi and Trump making a deal on the stimulus or not and
Yeah.
downing it. There's just a lot of variabilities in there. And this was just a hard week to start it out. But I mean, as far as Tuesday goes, we kind of picked it up a little bit on the futures. But there's a lot of cattle to trade. That's the whole thing. There's droughty everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Corn is tighter, which higher corn is going to lead to higher cattle. That's going to be for sure. It's just going to take a little longer. But corn's
Yeah.
tighter, so our cost of gains are all of a sudden, the same week the feeders got hammered like this, the cost of gain realization is starting to be put into the break evens. So say 75 cent cost of gains is now lurking into 90-cent cost of gains. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
is really, it's a whole different world. It's a especially for a bigger calf and when feedlots are full and stuff like that. I mean,
Mm,
there are reasons why it happens. A cold cow market pretty weak too. I mean, like we are mid 40s. Some cattle going back into the countries at 52. I mean, I heard some places pretty much staying around there this week too. We'll have our cow sale on Friday, but a lot of those are hitting the market too. So, and hay on the front range like $260 a ton. So everybody's making some of those. Hey, let's cull them, or
yeah, it's a tough time. I'm feeling come January things will be a little more stable. I hope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the play is in pounds too. Like you said, I mean,
Hmm.
it might be a guy does people don't like feed bills, and I know it might be hard, and it's not maybe the total option, but might be able to put some pound on these cattle and make it work. Especially the compensatory gain that I think is in these
Mm,
cattle because of the drought conditions. They're green, they're hungry. People are afraid of sickness, and I don't disagree because sickness is really relevant. But if
yeah,
a calf will eat, those big old soft calves off those good years are almost harder to wean. But like you said, an 8 weight steer in Jan or Feb, I think I like better than any kind of anything right at this moment.
yeah.
You
That
know,
is, in my humble, unofficial jackass feedlot cowboy opinion, but I just
well,
kind
yeah,
of the from what I've been tracking here the last, and I also say that because I think the market's gonna stabilize at least one way or the other. I don't think we're gonna, and I mean the overall, not just cattle market, because come election season come and gone, hopefully by January they've got everything sorted out through the courts. Because I don't know if we'll know who's gonna win on election night, but I'd say by January everything will be kind of back to somewhat normal. Um,
and even if you leave
and
that election out of it and stuff, January is usually a good time to sell feeder cattle. I mean, just
yeah,
kind of is, and then you get to deal with those good hard weaned feeder cattle actually load lots, and buyers are happy to have them. Our kill has been picking up, so pin space should be opening up, hopefully going into like
mm-hmm.
Jan Feb. But it is a different game anymore. The fear of the baller is just bigger and bigger each year, it seems like. And it's almost the fear of the balling calf and the fear of the first calf effort.
Yeah.
Is there's just I mean, help's hard to find. It's a serious game when you start entering into balling calves, start weaning them and stuff like that. It's usually kind of high risk or
Yeah.
high pressure. If it's not, it's high pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how did the like the national, like, I guess regional uh cattle sales look, just like from the high plains and the northern plains, southern plains, all that.
Well, I haven't been tracking heavily the Southern Plains. From what I'm looking, it's pretty much all. I mean, it took like a straight 6 weight. We were like high at 37. I think a lot of those like maybe a Torrington might have been 42, 38 to 42. I heard Salina was about par with they're still going right now. La Junta, they had some ups and downs. It's just hard to peg it because you could come in with a big group of cattle and it could be 5 in the afternoon and it'll bring the money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But even at 10:30 in the morning, if there's a group of cattle that they don't like, people don't like. And the thing is, it's not these cattle are getting singled out for any other reason than they have more probability of getting sick and dying, and that does not ever work on the bottom line in these guys' opinions. But but the probably the less vaccine you have in them going into the sale is probably going to be pretty relative to the discount in prices that you're going to take. I mean, it's as much as $20 a hundredweight, almost all the way to what they would call zero, because some guys won't bid on them. They just won't take them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just making you go to a weaned calf almost, figure the producer figuring out a way to wean his calves or somebody else's, you know? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell your calf off the cow, because I think that's still a great program. I'm not even saying it's not a great program when you're not vaccinated them either, because I don't know the cost on the operation of people, so everybody's operation is different. But I would say if it could, by all means, get 2 rounds of modified live in them.
Well, that makes a big difference on my end. I can tell you that. I mean, we take them of all stripes, but I know if we'll pay a little bit more for them vaccinated calves, so we don't have to run a run a shot of Mycotil in them or
Yeah,
anything. It just
yeah,
we can hit them with a booster when when we process them and not have to worry about mass treating because whether you're doing Zuprevo, Mycotil, or Draxin, shit adds up pretty quick.
yeah. Like once you mass tree, you don't want to lose any,
Yeah.
because you're giving your 17, and at least with when you've got a vaccination program, you can hit them with that booster, and then wait, at least give yourself a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it why the market is how it is there is because that's the true market. Like the vaccinated calves do better, like coming right into the cell balling. Like a weaned calf, okay, is a little bit different because you're taking them through that sweat. So yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
vaccine program is important, what you kind of put into him, kind of how he was handled, but a lot more demand after 60 days of weaning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
A lot
Um,
less trouble.
yeah. So I guess on the policy side of things, I I don't know if there's been any big moves in like USDA and stuff here lately, but I know that the Justice Department just hit JBS with like 200 and let me find that article real quick. It's $280 million fine over foreign bribery charges, which seems kind of strange what they actually hit him with because the way I initially understood it was bribery to U.S. officials, but apparently it was bribing Brazilian officials in order to get loans to buy, Swift and Five Rivers here in the U.S. And somehow JBS got charged in the U.S. over that. I'm all about them having to pay some fines, but I would like to know how many of our officials they bribed as well.
I mean, who the hell know? I don't know a bunch of, like, this is the first time I read it, so take that with a grain of salt. Just breezing through it almost seems like it was a plea deal out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got this deal, but hey, you have to admit for manipulating the market or whatever you did back in Brazil. You know, uh, the other thing is this price discovery thing that I've read a little bit about this week. That is
Um,
something. It's in there. Like NCBA's presenting this one.
um, let's see.
So this is like 75%, pretty much like cash needs to be 75%.
75% is what NCBA is saying?
Well, yeah, this is a letter from NCBA that I got from this broker.
Really?
Hmm.
a drastic change in policy position from just a couple months ago, ain't it?
I did, I mean, I don't know. What's your email again?
Matt at burning-daylight.com. Um, yeah,
I mean, it's
I'm
not
not.
bad. I don't know
Uh,
I don't really know what's going. I have literally lost track in a lot of this policy stuff, just trying to survive in the actual marketplace. You
well, and
know,
I don't think there's much policy being. It's just kind of like edicts and mandates here for the last 6 months. So who the fuck knows on any of it, really?
I just don't know at all. Like, oh, what blocked?
um, but it's just insane. It's no wonder that like the markets have been so up and down and all over the place because I mean there's just nothing consistent at all.
No, there isn't. And I mean, I'll tell you, there's this guy. I went to like he called Jody this Trey Wasserberger, and he's been kind of on the
Yeah,
front line. You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is.
I know he's been on the kind of the front line of a lot of this stuff, and I mean, I think he's getting some good works done. And I did read briefly on the interview he did. I don't know what it was, but it was written out. But I mean, he said some good things in there, and I don't know if this thing is the thing that I kind of think that's probably surprised me the most, if I wanted to be honest, is that this is still going forward, that there's still talk about this, that they haven't let the issue die,
Yeah,
that might have more power than maybe I initially gave it credit for, just because it's such a. I mean, I think we've been talking about this. Well, people have been talking about this issue for a lifetime. I agree. But
hmm,
dang sure since the Holcomb fire has it been really relevant.
yeah, yeah. I
And that
know because what was Corbett Wall's deal was 30% cash traded, 14-day delivery, and but that was at every facility, and then um, I think RCAF was something they wanted 50% or 51% at all facilities or something. I can't remember exactly, but they wanted way more. But now NCBA is coming out and saying 70. That's interesting.
well, and I'm reading. It's just an article and a president from the NCBA. That's one letter. Another video, attorney Harriet Hagman. Reality, the U.S. beef and cattle industry is safest in the world. We're importing our problems. Might be right, but I was reading one thing. The USDA's push to implement RFID tags across the country by 2023 will impact cattle industry. And he comes and says the RFID is the catalyst for vertical integration, because that's what he said, the hog and poultry industries. Now, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big proponent of RFID and high frequency tags, mainly for inventory tracking. Like I've talked about
Yeah.
this before. I mean, I think that's going a little far, and calling the cattle deal still a little hard to vertically integrate, but I think if it's getting vertically integrated, I don't know if I can contribute it to the RFID tags. That's what I'm saying, I guess, mostly.
No, and I the whole thing on the RFID is just like the masks and everything else. When it becomes a mandate, that's when it becomes a problem. Up until then, if it's a
Just
voluntary market-driven deal, then that's fine. But it's when it becomes a mandate that's a problem.
Oh yeah, but the thing, yeah, market driven deal, exactly. Well, it's a little bit hard. I'm a little bit on both sides of the stick there, because it's such a
Mm.
global market when you come to commodities, and it's easier to get export business when you can tell them where they came from. And
Yeah.
just like I did a project back in '08, People want to see where their food comes from.
Mm-hmm.
How are we ever going to get this so-called story to work if you don't get some way of tracking it? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying still keep track of it in your IRM notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely not a government tracking device. I agree with you, not mandate it, but
Yeah.
I think there's quite a bit of opportunity to just, open it up to like the to balloon beef demand with
Mm-hmm.
some kind of functional storytelling.
I think so too. That's like we got really heavily involved into commodity cattle, and then from there branched out to the branded beef program. But it's it makes it way
But
easier for an individual guy to market their beef on a different plane. When you have data to back it up and
well, how do you
traceability.
want to do the very next line is how what can cattle producers do to try to avoid vertical integration? Well, they can pass MCOOL. Well, how the hell do you instate MCOOL without a way to trace the
Mm-mm.
cattle? Mexicans have an RFID tag. It's all the
Yep.
same because there's a country code. It's called a country code
Mm-hmm.
because it's a global game right now. And whether you think the government's watching you or not
Well,
does
they
not
are.
change yeah, but
They
it
already
doesn't.
are.
They already are, but it doesn't change the fact that Brazil's a huge competitor. All these guys are just producing more and more.
Yeah. I like to think that my NSA agent is a first generation immigrant just trying to make a living. His name's probably Jose. Well,
You think we all got our own personal NSA agent?
I probably not. I don't. There are that
It's a
might be
funny
why there's so
thought.
many illegal
It's a funny
immigrants.
thought.
Is they're all NSA agents assigned to
Well,
assigned to to us personally.
they got an awesome way of communication. Uh, I tell you, I don't. I just think. I just think there's so many when you look up headlines for agriculture, it is just unreal the amount of different stuff that you can feel like uh California, we could talk about even animal welfare, different stuff. I mean, there's just a whole slew of things. It's in the news every day from the good to the bad to the ugly. And it just tells you all the challenges that we kind of have. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of got off the tag deal, but it's just that's what I'm on the thing. Yeah, I'm not for a mandate at all. Not for a mandate, but I don't think an RFID is a part of vertical integration.
No,
Uh,
I
you
think
know,
it makes a lot of sense. Even down to the producer level, it's a little bit of an investment, but and it's not a direct incentive, right off the bat, but when you get years of data to back up your cattle, and you can show what they are and what they do every time. That's it's pretty damn valuable in the long run.
well, and there's a lot of different programs that you could go in and see these different programs people are scared of. And like why I'm setting up a lot of those sensors and those high tag readers and all that stuff through the barn is say for like these different programs that want to, not all of them do, but some of them like to see how long the cattle stayed in
Hmm.
the yard and when they got loaded. You filled out those sheets before. I just think having that groundwork in at least opens you up to some of that. And yeah, it can be debated. It's not worth it because I've heard that debate, but it's just nice to have the ability to have that
Hmm.
extra market if and when it's available.
Yeah, yeah, and then if they do mandate it, well, then you're already set up to be compliant or
Well,
whatever,
if
and
they do mandate it, yeah, you're set up.
yeah,
And I mean, if they do mandate it, I think the next debate will probably be on the animal welfare side and branding.
yeah,
because if they mandate it, then that tag is tied to the owner all the way through, and I don't know if you know what I mean. Because I mean,
Yeah,
brands aren't even so. I don't know how that goes after that, but
yeah,
I'm sure it's a continuation of a bigger term picture after that.
yeah. It's yeah. I anyhow, I think it's like from how you're implementing it, I think it's a good idea. I really do, because like you said, and we've I've preached on here at length that we're really good at doing our job, keeping cattle alive, and making sure that you got a big, nice, healthy calf at the sale, and everything. We're good at that. The animal part of it, we're very good at, or not very good at the storytelling part and the marketing aspect.
Yep.
And I think just adds helps you tell a story a little bit better. And I don't know, that's what I'm all about, is
Yeah.
telling good stories. So
Yeah. Exactly, dude. I mean, I think that's part of it. And you go back to what we're seeing today. Hey, if you have a story to tell when I'm bringing those calves in, a story with the group and 2 rounds of vaccine and stuff, right now that definitely is bringing the most money. Hey, there's another level down with just 1 round of vaccine, and the calves could be genetically par, and you're gonna get $10 or $15 a hundredweight back because of
yeah,
that, especially in this time frame. I mean, I think we've seen it for a few years now, I guess, in this 6 week time frame, it really helps to have 2 rounds.
yeah, yeah. It just it really does. We're dealing, like I said, we're right down around freezing at night, and then getting back up, 80 or better in the day. This is big
Not
time
fan.
temperature
Yep.
swings, and it's a little rough on them. So they got a little extra boost. It sure goes a long ways.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's like I did something on these calves on a big group of calves where I gave them that Enforce 3 when I got them into the barn and worked them. I just gave
Mm-hmm.
them my cost just to help with the dust and the stress. And I run the water truck 2, 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's just the calves were eating, they were settled. I'm really excited to see what the Enforce 3 does just for the stress, a little bit of the dust and everything else. Because, I mean, if that starts to work, I would just almost, because I work them through the shoot, I'd almost give them an Enforce 3 when they came in just to try to help for the
yeah,
buyer's health on the back end, just because it's
yeah,
tough. I know I'm weaning, like I said, a couple 3,000 head at the feed yard, and you got to watch all the time, and you don't,
yeah, yeah. They're as soon as they come off that old cow, they are high risk cattle. So
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
it is what it is. And the more of a helping hand you can give them, the better off.
Yep, exactly. And as cold weather creeps in, like, shit, we're supposed to get to 31 tonight and then go down and kind of stay cold for a little while. And shit, I think that, like we talked about earlier, that helps buyer confidence as much as anything.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. Uh, hey, how about them Broncos? Was that all
Dude,
field goals on
God,
Saturday or
what?
on
I didn't
Sunday?
even see it because I was working cattle. I didn't even, I got rocked on my freaking fantasy football team too. I didn't
I
even
did all right on
switch.
fantasy league, but I was doing some editing, and I was just had it on the
God,
the
I
split
wanted to
screen.
watch it. What was the score? Fuck.
I was like 18-12 or some shit like
Oh
that.
my
I
God, and they
think it
beat
might
the
have been,
Patriots.
yeah. I think it may have been all field goals. I wasn't watching very closely, but I think might have been nothing but field goals.
That is something. Well, they could be like the New York Yankees that were started off really shitty, then came back hard.
Yeah,
I just
maybe.
don't. I just don't. I don't know. I don't. I really don't know about him. And
The Dodgers make it in the World Series. Is that what
I
I heard?
can't. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's the Dodgers and the Rays, maybe.
Oh. that'll be. Does Kershaw finally get a ring now that there's
I think
no
Kershaw
crowd?
got hurt. Yeah, I think Kershaw got hurt, and the
Oh, did he?
Dodgers are winning 8-3.
Oh shit. They're
Yeah,
already playing World Series now?
yeah, that's what I just
Shit.
said. I just
Huh. I've not watched a single game of baseball all year.
me
Um
neither.
it's been a weird been a weird fucking
It's
year.
just been a weird year, dude, and it just won't. It won't. It
Have we
it
have we
won't get
seen
let it
all
up.
the no. Have we seen all of the October surprises yet? I don't think we have.
No, I'm just about ready to be over it and just to hole up, but I can't. And I
Mm,
don't think we have seen, but I think we're gonna like you know what it's been really hard lately is to judge volume too on what's gonna actually show up to the sale.
yeah.
Between market volatility and weather, just in the cattle market, that's enough. We got snow coming, that'll help gather. But I don't know
Yeah.
what volume's gonna do because I think everybody's heads in the TV set.
I
You know,
yeah.
I mean, you
I
can't make a logical decision like that.
no, no. And like I said, what I guess maybe I should clarify on my point. From a policy standpoint, like there really is no policy being made on any level. It's, like the USDA, I don't know what the fuck they're doing with COVID protocols, which I really wish Trump would just go full ham on for the rest of this election season. Just be like, fuck COVID. I beat it. It's not that bad. We're moving forward and just go ham on it. But I don't think he's gonna quite go that hard. But he's been going pretty hard here lately. So I don't know.
He's gonna go hard and he's gonna pound him, dude. The only thing I'm not gonna disagree with how long it could take if it's close, but I think Trump wins and handily.
Yeah, I'm the more I look at it, and the more I listen to some people that actually follow the polling data and shit. Um, I think it's gonna be a pretty big landslide on the electoral college side. I don't know how on the popular vote. And who the fuck knows when we'll hopefully it's just a big enough lead on election night that it just gets called one way or the other. I don't see there's I really don't think there's much way that Biden's gonna win. I just don't I don't see the support for him, no matter what the polls say that they keep shoving down our throats. I don't see it.
No, and it's like I'm telling you, it's the polls are just unreal. They're so weighted towards like I got this sweet thing on Bloomberg, and I mean it just but Michael Bloomberg, great
Yeah.
platform, but how can you believe a lot of these polls that and this
Well,
should
they're
be put
saying
and
like
they're all what? No.
Biden's up like 18 points in some polls.
Yeah.
I and in what fucking world? Let's say that he does win. There's no fucking way he's winning by 18 points
No, no.
on nationally.
Well, and they're saying some of these swing states have more Republicans mail in ballot than or comparable
Yeah,
to the
they said
Democrats.
that yeah, Republicans have higher registration numbers in Pennsylvania, and that's a big. It comes down to like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida. Those are the three big swing states. And if he takes two out of those three, I mean it's over. But he's likely. I think we're gonna do a prediction show on Thursday for the. We'll go state by state
Ooh,
predictions. You want
ooh,
in?
ooh. Yeah, put me in. Put
All
me
right,
in.
all right. We'll have you on Thursday
And
for
what do you say to see the Pennsylvania?
yeah.
Yeah, and they got Biden up by 20. in
No, fuck.
Pennsylvania in one of these polls. Give me a break.
Up by 20. Yeah.
That
They
see, I just think that's ridiculous.
but hey, Biden had a golf cart parade the other day. There was
How'd it
like
go?
7 old fucks with the in their golf carts with Biden flags.
Oh my. Oh my
I
God.
just I mean when you see that versus like Saturday in Carson City, which just like an hour from here, they said
Yeah.
13,000 at that one.
Was that with Donald Trump Jr. at the sale barn or no? Was that in
No,
Fallon?
that was in Fallon a couple weeks
Yeah, that's
ago.
cool. I bet that was
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't. I wish I could have made it over there, but I saw pictures all of it all over. It's pretty neat. They had a whole bunch of semis there with the Trump flags going, and I'm not so much into that, but it was pretty neat to see. Like they were.
The
I don't
turnout.
know. I don't know how Vegas is gonna vote, but I don't think Washoe County, where Reno's at, I don't think that goes for Biden. I think Trump wins Washoe County, and I think it's going to be close enough down in Vegas because people hate the governor here with good reason,
Yeah.
and and I think, but I don't. I think it's going to be close in Vegas, but the rural rural counties in Nevada is all Trump. Like he might get 100% of the vote in in some of those rural
I've
counties.
never seen as many banners.
Me neither.
So,
Never seen that many.
and how's it relative to the cattle market? Just the tranquility will put a lot of. I mean, this volatility has just popped hard the last 2 weeks. Hard.
Yeah, it's well, and that's kind of what we've been trying to get at is like it's kind of a volatile time of year anyhow, especially when you throw a pretty widespread drought into the mix. But then when you have an election year, that adds to it, and then when you've got Trump involved with anything, that adds
Yep.
to it, and it just leads to just a
But
schizophrenic cattle market,
I know, and
to put it
like
lightly.
that is to put it lightly. I mean, the chart will just amaze you. Of just it just I mean, it's just been pretty much steady down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's wild, but
And that'll
I
happen. It'll go up like that too. You know what I mean?
yeah, it will, and I we're gonna get some moisture. That's
Yeah,
what
it's looking good.
one thing about droughts is they always end,
Yeah, every drought
uh,
ends with the rain.
regardless of what all these climate change doomsdayers say. It will rain, it will snow.
It will. It's
We
going to.
It's we're one day closer to moisture than we were yesterday, so
Yep. And you're going to be bitching about it when it's cold and snowy, just
mm-hmm,
like your drive
mm-hmm.
never changes, but it's going to come. Just like the market
It'll
will
come.
come back. The market will come back.
Well, and if we're starting to get, and I'm still not really on board with the legislation mandating a cash trade. However, that means if even NCBA is getting on board with that, that means that there's been enough outcry from the bottom that squeaky wheel will get grease, and so
And the wheels staying squeaky. That's, I mean, I have to admit,
yeah,
I'm impressed. I
yeah, and
do.
so I don't have a great solution on any of it, but
It looks like
like
we're kind of working on it.
the more people let these jackasses that we elect know that we're not happy with them, the more likely it is shit gets changed. So,
Yeah, and I mean,
um,
that's part of the whole process. I mean, probably don't do that enough. I know I don't. So,
yeah,
so touche to everybody that is doing that, because I know everybody has plenty of other things to do. Not that anybody's just, sitting around. It takes time to kind of fight this fight or work on it, anyways.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I guess on that end, like really pay attention to who you're voting for on the state and local level. Not not because you might get somebody bad in there. That's probably going to happen at all levels. But if you get somebody good on the state and local level, you can make a lot of change pretty rapidly because it's just a lot easier the lower down the totem pole you go as far as how government's designed. So like if you can get some good solid people in your in your county and in the state legislature, it makes it a lot easier and it does it. You don't have to pay as much attention to local or to national politics, even though that's where the media tries to drive your attention to because that's what drives ratings. But I mean, just look at California. I mean, uh, they've been beat up pretty hard here lately, but pretty deservingly so. That's what happens when you get a bunch of shitty people running the state. Like it goes downhill. You know, once the straw breaks the camel's back, it goes downhill pretty quick, and we're seeing that with California. So the easiest way to avoid that is to get good people at the state level and the local level, and that bleeds up. You know, it bleeds upward.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That's where you got to go. All the levels, but
Yep.
local level most importantly. And
Yeah.
like you said, try to
You
vote,
got to
but
pay
then
attention to that.
pay attention to the local level. Make a difference when you can, and sometimes you got to tune it all out and just make like a. It's hard to make a sound reasonable decision right now, but it's about the time. And I mean, this thing went down to 126 in the January feeders from 142. I mean,
Ooh,
that's a pretty big break.
yeah.
I mean, so,
Yeah.
but as it's breaking, I mean, people are going to be thinking about different options. Don't try to get into a better market, but try to just if you can get your gain on cheap and you can sell them for 126 as an 8 weight and 136 as a 5, say maybe you might if you I mean it's still not like it's you're making $1 million like the buy on this thing like who's when the people are buying them they're not buying a winner. I mean they're buying a few of them here and there, but there's a lot of risk. If there's margin in the cattle right now, there's some risk in them as far as health. And if there's no risk in them health, then they're pretty much buying as much as the futures will allow against the hedge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But it's gonna
yeah.
like when it breaks like that, it can come back like that too. But it'll take the
Yeah.
stairs up. Takes the elevator down,
Yeah.
stairs up.
Yeah, but that I don't know, I guess for the last several years it seems like that's kind of how it's been because, the market's been, even during the Trump years, his first term while the stock market was kind of on a steady rise. The cattle market it would drop sharply, but it usually recovered fairly quickly. But like you said, it was stair stepped, and never recovered to what we'd like, obviously. But it's I don't know. I
Yeah,
think we
you're
get
right.
through this
It's
election season and figure out what the fuck's gonna happen going forward.
get to some
Things will kind
colder
of
weather.
yeah, and yeah, and hopefully we get some moisture. We don't not just get absolutely just shredded with moisture, but if we get some good snowpack up top, and and you get some good moisture across the Midwest, and you know, and it's looking good for corn in Iowa, and then you get good snowpack up top. You're looking into having some good grass in the spring. So
Yeah. I mean, it's just good nice. Whatever. It has been dry, and that's no secret. Everybody's hanging on for dear life, but we're almost there, and it's gonna get cold, and I guess we'll start saying that in the spring, just like you said. In the
Yeah.
springtime, how long does La Nina persist?
Yep.
But hell,
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, but there's always like I said, there's always something to look forward to.
yeah,
We're one day closer to moisture than we were yesterday.
yeah,
We're one
and
day closer to a booming cattle market than we were today. So,
yep, exactly. So, and there's always options when the market falls. If there is an option to feed them and get them bigger, where you can take them to a yard, put some weight on them, it might not be
yeah,
bad to look at right now. With you got to deal with
yeah,
the scenario that's presented. Play the cards that are dealt. Not one person's big enough to move the market. So all of a
yeah.
sudden, the variables for making a decision are changed. So I
Well,
think you got to change with them.
and start checking with some of your local packers, see if they've got a slot, 6 8 months out that might fit a steer that you possibly feed out. If you can get them in, it's not going to hurt to hold a couple back and feed them out, and sell them directly. That'll help
Yep.
eat into your to your losses for the year. You can
And you
always
know
make.
what else? You got to figure on if you get that CFAT money, put that on
Mm,
top of your calf price, and it doesn't look that bad. And that's what it's for. Like,
yeah.
because cattle took losses this year, in a
Mm,
brutal way due to this COVID, which was they shut down the whole economy like a light switch. So, I mean,
yeah.
put that on top of your calf prices and move on and let's go to next year. It
Yeah.
sucks, but it is what it like. We'll deal the cards that are dealt right now, and that's what they're dealt as of today. And I mean, it'll be changing, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think there are different options you might could look at. Either get rid of them, add the CFAT money to them, feed them a little bit, and then add the CFAT money to them. But I think that's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah. I was looking back through the comments here. Uh, Dan says JBS bribes are on Hunter Biden's laptop. And
Oh,
Adrian, I was I've done some research into the global roundtable for sustainable beef. Um, that's some spooky shit. I uh, I don't buy the whole part about NCBA being a part of a global cartel to you know get rid of animal production, which is kind of there's a lot more nuance to it. I've done some research into it, but that's kind of the broad picture. Sum it up in one sentence for the conspiracy theory out there. I don't really buy into that. The NCBA's got a lot of good people that are members. The leadership I don't particularly care for at all, but there's a lot of good NCBA members, and at the end of the day, the NCBA wants to do good by the Packers and the producers, so they're walking a very probably they're trying to do an impossible job, I think. But yeah, whatever. I
yeah. I mean,
that's
there.
kind of some of the arguments against the RFID. But like I said, as long as it's a voluntary deal, I'm okay with it. I think it's a great
I
piece of technology. I think when we get into any sort of government mandates, that's when it gets a
But
little
how
sketchy.
efficient is the government? I mean, that's what I mean. The people are being so scared. I'm not even saying I don't want to do the mandate battle because
Mm.
I'm not a mandate guy, but I just can't see the fear in the RFID through the conspiracy theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I,
But, and maybe I'm
and
not
I
opening my mind up enough, but
Well, I was just getting ready to say, as a caveat, they could be 100% right. The government's done
how
probably some
does
sketchier things.
But how do have you ever scanned? I have high frequency tags that can read from 30 feet out. Okay. Okay. And then the low frequencies, I mean, you have to be on their ear to hit it. I mean, are they
Mm,
thinking they're going to fly drones over? Scan the tags, or
Um, I see. I've
that will be
never.
there someday. The high frequency that will be there, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think they're more worried about NCBA and the beef checkoff being in
I don't.
cahoots with the World Wildlife Foundation and what's the other? I think
But
World
why does it
Wildlife
have to
Foundation.
be thrown in with the RFID tags? I mean, I get what they're saying, and the NCBA
Yeah,
might be in cahoots with it. I'm not saying the NCBA. I'm their biggest fan of their deals, but the I just think I think there's a totally market based scenario here, non political, non conspiracy based. Leave NCBA out of it. The customer is going to want to scan a meat package sometime and see the
I
people
think
that
you're
are
right.
raising it. Okay. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
all I
think
think about it.
I think you're 100% right there. And like yeah, like I said, when it comes down to mandates, I'm not for them in any way, shape, or form. And but as on the individual level, if you choose to voluntarily do that, like George has done, I think that's a great job because it's an excellent tool. Just like any piece of technology is how you
Mm.
use it. And I think
Yep.
when you're on your end, when you're trying to not only provide information to the buyer but add value to the for the seller, that's a beautiful thing, and I'm 100% on board with that.
No, no, you're right. And then, I mean, I know there's a lot of different oppositions, and maybe the premium doesn't get built in at all, right away. But I just think like the conspiracy theories where I have a little trouble with it. Not that I'm saying it's
Yeah,
wrong. I'm just saying I don't think it's directly tied to the RFIDs. It might be true, but
yeah,
I have a hard time with that because there's so many
yeah,
cattle moving so many places. But
yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of on the same.
well,
I
and
dabble in
here's another.
conspiracies pretty heavily, and I'm having a hard time getting on board with that one.
Well, here's another thing. I mean, I guess as far as traceability with diseases, I think there could be a case that even though you're scared to have it traced back to maybe your place, there could be a industry based plays where the quicker we trace it back, the quicker the market stops downflowing, or the quicker we gain back export customers. I mean,
Yeah,
it's taken us from 2003 till now to build back the Japanese business from BSE. I'm not saying the RFID tag would have solved that. I'm not, but I think it's confidence. We've had a lot of like BSE different strain scares from then. It's not as scary, but I think a confidence in a traceability program would stabilize markets too.
yeah, yeah. I think you're probably right, but and it'll probably get to the point where you know I on the price discovery standpoint, um, yeah, there's a good chance that a buyer coming through Loma Livestock is going to pay a little more on something that's got 2 rounds of vaccines
Well,
and
that's for sure.
and a high frequency tag as well. And then and that goes for everywhere.
Yeah, maybe, and then maybe you can put the NHTC or even the GAP4 program or any of these stuff that I'm not saying are right, wrong, or indifferent, but if they'll lead to a premium, maybe they're there. And of
Yeah.
course the traceability in them to if they're good feeding cattle, and high
Hmm.
mountain cattle are really gonna be, I think, turn out to be more valuable going forward, like this PAP testing, because they're starting to see a lot of high papping cattle won't grade. So if they have that pulmonary arterial pressure too high, so they'll technically have heart failure. And if
Hmm.
they don't die while you're feeding them, they probably won't grade prime, no matter how many days you feed
Yeah.
them. And it's crazy, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's that there's a lot of options out there, and when you have all your data that tracks it back to you as the origin, there's a lot you can do with that. And when you have it, you can kind of choose your own scenario,
And differentiate yourself.
whatever fits. Yeah, and pick a market that suits you best, as opposed to just rolling your dice when you sell them.
Yep. And like even those times when you're rolling the dice or you're picking a date and there's been
Hmm.
times where there's people at sale barns when 9/11 happened. I mean that you can't call
Yeah.
that. It's just you go to
Yeah.
pick a day, but if those calves are the best calves there that day, they'll bring the most they can that day. And that's all there is.
Yeah.
Even if it's a video sale, it's that day. You have the
Hmm.
decision to no sell them, but I think if you prepare your cattle the best you can for that sale day, and it's a group effort, I know that, and it's a little more work, but if you can, then you can't cut out the market risk. You can't cut out Bin Laden bombing or whatever the hell could happen, but you can make them
Yeah.
present right.
Yep. Control what you can, and the rest will happen how it happens.
Yep,
Yep.
agreed, man.
Well,
Well, hell,
I think we covered a lot here, buddy.
that was a
It's
good
a good
show,
one.
and I
I
gotta
enjoyed
load
it.
10. I did too. This is great, and I gotta load 10 loads of calves in the morning at the ranch.
Heck
Head
yeah.
out.
Yeah, I think we got 3 going out too, so I gotta get going too. So
All
good to
right,
see you,
buddy.
buddy. Good to
All
hear from
right,
you.
burn the daylight. Thank you, buddy. Move your ass. We're
All right,
burning
see you, man.
daylight. See ya.